And now we're on Daf Yud Days on the days where a papa comes up with an alternate solution to the problem of how to be machanech the Kohen Gadol Sheni when he takes over for the Kohen Gadol Rishon, who had a psul that was discovered after the avod of the Talmud. Avodaso mechanchasa. We don't need a special addition to the avodah. The very fact that he takes over the avodah, the Yom Kippurim, and he brings the Ketores or whatever he does as a unique avoda of the Kohen Gadol, that itself is machanechim. And to prove this, Milo Tanya says, Rav Papa, we have a brayso that call it Kelim Sha'asa Moshe Mashichasam Mekadshasam. Moshe Rabbeinu would sanctify utensils as a klisharis by pouring the shemen hamishcha and anointing the kelim. But mikan v'elech, after the Mishkan of Moshe Rabbeinu, during the entire course of Jewish history, avodasan mechanchasam. You don't use the shemen hamishcha as the method of being mechanech and being mekadesh. Following Moshe's anointment of the utensils, the anointing oil was no longer fit used for that purpose. And this is derived in Masechet Shvuos from a special Yalfusa. But avodas mechanchasam, once you use the kli for any avoda, then it's what we call gito v'yodaban ka'achas. Simultaneously, it sanctifies the kli, and the kli now is the kli shars that sanctifies anything you put in it. So we have a principle called avodas mechanchasa, says Rav Papa, and that's going to apply in the case of the second Kohen Gadol. He's going to do the avoda of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippurim, and that will invest him with the status and the stature of a Kohen Gadol. The Gemara now goes back to a discussion about the Avnei. Ki Asa Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, Omar Avneto Shel Kohen Hedjot. The question about what was the makeup of the belt of a Kohen Hedjot, did it have wool in addition to the linen, or was it pure wool, is the subject of machlokas between Rebbe Elazar, Reb Shimon. Had Omer Kilayim, according to one of these two opinions, the Avnei of a Kohen Hedjot had an admixture of wool, and it was Kilayim. According to Chad Omer Shalbutz, it was exclusively made up of linen, and there was no wool, and there was no Kilayim. But Rav Dimi did not reveal to us who held what. Tistayim, says the Gemara, we're going to try to quote a brayso and prove that it's Rebbe who says the Omer Shel Kilayim, that the Kohen Hedjot wore a belt made of Kilayim. This Sanya, because we learned in the brayso, Ein Ben Kohen Gadol Kohen Hedjot Ella Avnei Divrei Rebbe. Rebbe holds that there's no difference in terms of the begadim between that of a Kohen Gadol and that of a Kohen Hedjot, with the exception of Avnei, because the Kohen Hedjot wore Kilayim in his Avnei, whereas the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippurim wore pure linen without any wool. And Rabbi Elazar, Reb Shimon Omer disagrees, Af lo Avnei, that even the Kohen Hedjot wore nothing more in his belt than linen and not wool, and therefore the Avnei of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippurim was identical to the Avnei of the Kohen Hedjot. So the Gemara analyzes this brayso. Emas, if we're comparing the Kohen Gadol and his begadim to those of a Kohen Hedjot during the entire course of the year, Tuve'ika. I mean, after all, the Kohen Gadol wore 8 begadim, including the big day Zav, where Kohen Hedjot only wore 4 begadim. Kohen Gadol b'shamish b'shmona, Hedjot b'arba. Elo lav, by process of elimination, we have no choice. And we're talking about Yom Kippurim. And from the fact that Rebbe said that on Yom Kippur, the Avnei of the Kohen Gadol, the Avnei of the Kohen Hedjot are two different Avnei Tos, Avnei Tim, two different belts, it proves that Rebbe maintained the position that the avnate of the Kohen Hedjo was made up of kilayim, whereas Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon identifies the avnate of the Kohen Hedjo with that of the Kohen Gadol, because in both cases they wore an avnate that did not have kilayim, and it was pure linen. Amri, the Gemara says, lo, I'm going to reject this proof. Li'olam b'shar yemos hashana. And if you're asking me, if it's b'shar yemos hashana, why focus on the avnate when there's an obvious contrast between the Kohen Gadol's begodim and the Kohen Hedge's begodim as far as 8 verses 4 is the Hanach the Shavin. What this Bryce is addressing is with regard to those 4 begodim that are common to both a Kohen Hedjot and a Kohen Gadol, is there any distinction and contrast between the two, Kohen Hedjot and Kohen Gadol, with regard to those 4 begodim that are common to both of them? And that means that Rebbe came up with a contrast, because Rebbe holds that the avnate of a Kohen Hedjot is made up of pure linen, and it has no kilayim. The exact opposite of the first approach of the Testayin, and that is that the difference between the avnei of the Kohen Gadol, whole year round minus Yom Kippur, is that the avnei of the Kohen Gadol was made of kilayim, whereas the avnei of the Kohen Hedjot was made purely of linen. On the contrary, it's Rabbi Elazar Reb Tzaddik, he's the one who holds, Reb Shimon, he's the one who holds that the avnei of the Kohen Hedjot was made of kilayim, and it's identical with the avnei of the Kohen Gadol. Kiyasa Ravin, when Ravin came for Eretz Yisrael to Babel, he told us, again, till now, we were talking about Rav Dimi, right? There were 2 great Amoraim, Talmidim of Rav Yochanan, that used to come from Eretz Yisrael to Babel. The other one, in addition to Rav Dimi, was Ravin. Avneto shel Kohen Gadol b'Yom HaKippurim, Divrei HaKol shel Butz, B'Shar Yemos HaShana, Divrei HaKol shel Kalayim. This is all explicit in the Torah. Lo nechelku ela b'avneto shel Kohen Hedjot, bein b'Shar Yemos HaShana, bein b'Yom HaKippurim, sheRebbe Omer shel Kalayim. So he is supporting the Testayim that we had before. Rebbe was the one who identified the belt of the Kohen Hedjot as having kilayim. It was a mixture of linen and wool. And therefore, Rebbe said that the only difference between the avnate of the Kohen Hedjot and that of the Kohen Gadol would only be on Yom HaKippur, when the Kohen Gadol wore an avnate that was pure linen. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon Omer shel butz. According to Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, there's a contrast between the Kohen Gadol and the Kohen Hedjot in the avnate the whole year round, whereas the Kohen Gadol wore shatnez in the belt. It was made up of linen and wool. The Kohen Hedjot wore pure linen. Omer Rav Nachman, Afananami Tnina, I also have a brisa that would indicate that Rebbe held that the Kohen Hedjot wore an avnei made of kilayim. The brisa is darshaning the pasuk al bisara. This is a pasuk in Vayikra Perek Vav, referring to the Trumas Hadeshen, or the Haramas Hadeshen. And it says, Al Bisaro, Ma Talmud Lomer Yilbash. Why did the Torah have to say Yilbash? It could have said V'lavash HaKohen Midei Vad U'Mifnasei Vad Al Bisaro, since the pasuk opens up with the word Lavash. Why does it have to end with the word Yilbash? That's a redundant word. So we now have a word Yilbash that appears in the parsha of Trumas Hadeshen, and we want to know what to derive from the word Yilbash. Lahavi mitznefes v'avneit laharamas hadeshen divrei Rabbi Yehuda. In the psukim regarding haramas hadeshen, the Torah only mentions michnasayim, right? Michnasayim and ksonis. Did I get that right? It says, "V'lavash hakohen midovad, u'michtas hevad yilbash al b'soro, ve'ribitz hadeshen asher tochal ha'esh, es ha'olah, v'samo eitzel hamizbeach." So we have midovad and michnas hevad. And midovad is the ksones, and michnas hevad is obviously the michnas sayin. And this is what the Kohen Gadol was called upon to wear when he took out the ashes from the Mizbeach. There's no mention, neither of Mitznefes, right, the hat that he wore, nor the Avnei, the belt that he wore. How do we know that he wore all four begadim, meaning that we upgrade the status of Trumas Hadeshin to that of an avoda that requires four begadim, because a Kohen cannot do avoda with less than four begadim, so we have to include the mitznefes and the avneit. That's derived, says Rabbi Yehuda, from the extra word yilbash. Rabbi Dosa Omer, that we take the word yilbash out of its context. It's not referring to Trumas Hadeshin, but rather Lahavi Big Day Kohen Gadol B'Yom Kippurim Shehem Ksherim LeKohen Hedjot. It means that after the Kohen Gadol completes his avoda of Yom Kippurim, he could bequeath his begadim to a Kohen Hedjot, and the Kohen Hedjot is allowed to wear the Big Day Kohen Gadol. By the way, it's interesting. The Kohen Gadol himself is not allowed to wear those begadim the following Yom Kippur, but the Kohen Hedjot is allowed to wear those begadim. And we're talking about the Big Day Lavan. And those Big Day Lavan are identical with the four begadim that a Kohen Hedjot needs to wear the whole year round when he does the avodah. And obviously, if we're assuming so, then we must be assuming that the Kohen Hedjot is wearing an avneit that has no kilayim in it. The same avneit that the Kohen Gadol wore on Yom Kippur, which has pure linen, was the avneit that a Kohen Hedjot could wear. And Rebbe Omer, Shtei Tshuvas B'Dover, I have two reasons why I have to reject what you said. Chada, the avneito shel Kohen Gadol b'Yom Kippurim, lo ze avneito shel Kohen Hedjot. The avneit of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur was pure linen, and the avneit of the Kohen Hedjot was made of kilayin. So you see clearly, says Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, that Rebbe maintains the position that the Kohen Hedjot wore kilayim in his belt. V'yod, and furthermore, begadim shenichtamchu behen kedusha chamura tishtamish behen kedusha kala. I disagree fundamentally with your principle that you can take the begadim that are worn by the Kohen Gadol on the holiest day for the holiest avoda, the kapara of all of Klal Yisrael, and now you let the Kohen Hedjot who's doing a daily, ordinary avoda wear. That's a kedusha kala. We have a principle of mailim b'kodesh v'lo moridim b'kodesh. You're asking me, what about the extra redundant word yilbash? L'rabos es hashchakim. That means that the Kohen, when he does his avodah, he can wear shchakim, and that's the extra ribui of yilbash. And shchakim means even if the begadim are worn out, they're still kosher as long as they're not ripped. The Azda Rabbi Dosa l'taima. And now, this statement is l'taima. The Sanya we found in a brayso v'nicham sham melavin shetu'unim gnisa. But Rabbi Dosa v'shlo ishtamish behen Yom Kippurim acher. So that now the Gemara is saying that v'nicham sham, according to the Tanakama, this is indicative of the mitzvah of Gnisa, the Kohen Gadol at the end of his day, after he completes the avodah miyuchedes liyom kippurim, he has to lock up in a Gnisa his begadim. Whereas Rabbi Dosa says that lo yishtamish bahem, meaning he, the Kohen Gadol, is not allowed to wear these begadim next year, but a Kohen Hedjot could wear it and inherit it during the time of the year, which again would reflect the shita that the avneit of the Kohen Hedjot was made of pure linen. Tana Rabbanu, we learned to the brayso, irabo psul uminu acher tachtov. What's the status of the second string Kohen Gadol who filled in for the first string Kohen Gadol after Yom Kippur? Does he retain his status as a Kohen Gadol? After all, we're going to reinstate the Kohen Gadol Arishon. Rishon Chosel Avodah, there's no question that the main primary Kohen Gadol is the first Kohen Gadol. He'll return to his service as a Kohen Gadol. Sheni is according to Rabbi Meir, the first Tana here in this brisa. He maintains that Kol Mitzvahs Kahuna Gedola Olav. That means that the Kohen Gadol Hasheni has all the mitzvahs, all the status of a Kohen Gadol is retained. We cannot remove his status as a Kohen Gadol. So, for example, he will not be allowed to marry an almana because each of the psulei yikach. Or, for example, he's not metami even to his 7 close relatives, which is a special din regarding the Kohen Gadol. He's not allowed to rip his garments if he's in a state of avelus, and he'll have to wear shmona begadim if he does the avoda during the entire course of the year, because once he was invested with the status of Kohen Gadol, he retains that status. That's the Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Richon Chosel Avodaso, Sheni Eno Roy, Lola Kohen Gadol, Lola Kohen Hedjot. He's neither a Kohen Gadol nor a Kohen Hedjot. Omar Rabbi Yossi. And Rabbi Yossi is going to support his view with Amaisa Yosef ben Elam b'tzipori. She'irabo psul b'Kohen Gadol minu tachtov. Yosef ben Elam was a second string Kohen Gadol that was appointed as a Kohen Gadol. V'omru chachamim. After Yom Kippur, Rishon Chosel Avodaso, but Sheni Eno Roy Lola Kohen Gadol Velola Kohen Hedge. Why not? So the Brisa analyzes Kohen Gadol Mishum Eva. We're not going to allow him to retain his status with all the prohibitions and all the obligations wearing the begadim of a Kohen Gadol. Why? Because of Eva. This could generate a certain enmity and jealousy on the part of the Kohen Gadol Rishon, as if to say there's another Kohen Gadol. But Kohen Hedjot, why can't we at least demote him, so to speak, to his original status as a Kohen Hedjot? Why not? What's the problem with that? And the answer is, Mishum Mailin B'Kodesh V'lo Moridin. Once he was invested with the higher sanctity of a Kohen Gadol, we cannot possibly lower his level to that of a Kohen Hedjot. So he's caught in betwixt. He can no longer serve as a Kohen Gadol because that would cause Eva. He can no longer serve as a Kohen Hedjot because that would be in violation of the principle of Ma'ila B'Kodesh, the Ein Morida B'Kodesh. And the Gemara, in fact, paskins like Rabbi Yossi, Omar Rabba Bar Chana, Omar Rabbi Yochanan. And here we turn to Daf Yud Gimel, Halacha Ki Rabbi Yossi. But Moder Rabbi Yossi Shem Avar, the Avad Avodaso Psul, Avodaso Kshera, meaning the only reason we demoted him is because of the enmity of the Kohen Gadol. But if he went ahead and he did the avoda, he still really has inherently the status of a Kohen Gadol who wears Shmona Begadim and does in the big days of the avoda of a Kohen Gadol. And although we will prevent him from doing so because we don't want to generate enmity and jealousy, but nevertheless, his inherent status is fundamentally, essentially that of a Kohen Gadol. And if it would be the evidence, if he pushed himself and he did the avoda of the Kohen Gadol, then his avodah is ksher. And Rashi points out here that if he went ahead and he served as a Kohen Hedjot and he wore 4 begadim, then his avodah is psula because essentially he's a Kohen Gadol. And a Kohen Gadol who does the avodah in the 4 begadim, his avodah is psula. Let me just add one thing as we close the shir today. There is an apparent difficulty in this sugya that we learned with regard to the Kohen Gadol Sheni, and that is because Rabbi Yossi seems to indicate that the Kohen Gadol Sheni is essentially a Kohen Gadol. On a Deraisa level, for sure, he has the sanctity and the status of a Kohen Gadol. It's only because of enmity that the Rabbanan made a takana they should not serve as a Kohen Gadol, and therefore we saw that b'di'evet his avoda as a Kohen Gadol is kshera. But yet, when the Brisa explains why he's not a Kohen Hedjot, the Brisa offers the logic of Ma'ilin b'kodesh v'lo moridin. Why does the Brisa feel compelled to add that into the equation? If he's a Kohen Gadol, then we know that a Kohen Gadol who serves as a Kohen Hedjot in 4 begadim is avodas psula. And the Rishonim ask this question, they offer an answer that if not for the halacha and the principle of Ma'ilin b'kodesh v'yed moridin, then we would not be able to understand Rabbi Yossi, because we would say that if there's no problem of Moridin B'Kodesh and he cannot serve as a Kohen Hedjot, then once the same, who most of meaning the same authority that we had to invest in him the status of the Kohen Gadol, we can now demote him, remove his status as a Kohen Gadol, and set him up as a Kohen Hedjot. Let's demote him to the status of a Kohen Hedjot. And the reason we cannot do that is because of Ma'ilin b'Kodesh v'lo moridin. And it does seem that even according to Rabbi Meir, his status is that of a Kohen Gadol. And that's why Rabbi Meir says that Sheni called mitzvahs kuna olav. Rabbi Yossi doesn't reject that principle, but he says that the Rabbanan made a takana mishum eva, that he should not serve as a Kohen Gadol. And here, as we complete our learning for today on Daf Yud Gimel, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Marav, halacha Rabbi Yossi, u'moder Rabbi Yossi shemeis rishon shechozer lavodaso. And now Rabbi Yehuda, the name of Rav, adds another halacha that in event that the Kohen Gadol Rishon dies, then the Kohen Gadol Sheni will be appointed and return to his status and his avoda as the Kohen Gadol. The Gemara asks, Pshita, isn't that obvious? I mean, he is a Kohen Gadol, and we said that even Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi both agree that he's a Kohen Gadol. If the Kohen Gadol is no longer there should be no issue, and it's obvious that the Kohen Gadol Sheni should now take over. Malditem, I might have thought, if not for this Chiddush of Rav, Havi late Tzara Michayim, since the second Gadol was a Tzara Michayim, then therefore, if the Kohen Gadol Rishon realizes and understands that the Kohen Gadol Sheni is going to take over with his death, as if to say the Kohen Gadol Sheni is praying for his death, then that also is going to create a certain element of enmity, Kamash Malan, and that's the Chiddush of Rav, that it's not an issue. It's not an issue at all. Kamash Malan, Lefichash Machrienu, Rabbi Yehuda b'Shem Rav, Shalo Choshin Leka, Elimeis Harishon Yishamesh Hasheni Tachto. So we're going to end the Shia for today now, here on the top of Daf Yud Gimel Amid Aleph. A great shot.